Patrick Bet-David recently made it. Obviously we covered this recently that Tucker Carlson left Fox, and he's now without contract, and he's kind of out in the wind. He's a free agent at the moment. And Patrick Bet-David, in his aim to build his media agency Valuetainment, he made an offer, a $100 million offer. That's $100 million offer to Tucker Carlson to come and join his company. And this kind of shows that, that's way more money than what Tucker was on at Fox. That's way more money. It just shows that this new media is a lot different. Now, what I want to emphasize with this story is it's interesting that Patrick Bet-David is able to make this offer of $100 million. Why? Is it because his organization, Valuetainment, his media company is making lots and lots of money? He's making $100 million? No, it's not. I doubt, I don't know how much he's worth, but I doubt that the media agency that he's running right now is making that much money. However, he's a successful businessman. He is not just a media guy. He is a businessman. He's a successful businessman. He has built a quite a successful finance business, and I'm pretty sure he sold it. I don't know if he still has shares or involvement in any way, but he built a very, very successful business, and then now he's using his funds. He's using that, the finances and stuff to build influence in this media space. And Dr. Rod, I find it quite interesting that this new media shift does favor the entrepreneurial. It does favor the business person. Do you feel like this next wave of media, leaders in this next wave of media need to be more entrepreneurial, need to have business experience?
Oh, look, it always helps, but I think one of the things we're observing here is that entrepreneurs have been squeezed out of the mainstream economy.
Okay.
They've been squeezed out because governments have grown bigger and bigger and bigger and taxed us more and more and more regulation. There's also social regulation, the whole woke movement and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Big business now is in cahoots with big government, really squeezes out small to medium enterprises. And I was on a video called only last night where we're talking about this on a global basis. And so I think what happens is people who have the entrepreneurial gift, they pop up in areas where there is a bit less regulation. And that still is the case in a lot of areas in social media. And so I think we're seeing people with an entrepreneurial gifting pop up in these areas because they can still be entrepreneurial. It's getting harder and harder to be entrepreneurial in the mainstream economy, manufacturing or providing some service. But this is an area where it's still a bit of a frontier. There's still a lot of development to be made. So look, I don't know that Bet-David has $100 million. I don't even know whether he really wanted to take on Tucker Carlson, just given the way in which he did it. It was all public, and he showed us the letter that he'd written. But he didn't disclose what might have been happening behind the scenes, whether or not they'd had meetings, and et cetera, et cetera. And of course, Fox still believes they have a contract with Tucker Carlson, which is why they've issued a cease and desist letter to him. They did that even before his second Twitter show,
which we'll be chatting about in a minute.
Yeah, we will. But look, I love what I'm seeing. As you know, my background is economics. I'm a champion of entrepreneurs, although I don't have an entrepreneurial bone in my body. That's why I'm an academic economist and I guess and a pastor.
And the business pastor.
The business pastor. I understand business.
I have to jump
Don't
in
ask
here.
me to do it.
You understand it, and you have this unique gift of understanding a business person. and
Yeah,
being
I
able to
do. I do.
guide and mentor a business person.
That's
So
why I'm the
yes,
business pastor, and I'm not an entrepreneur.
yeah,
But I know that. I know that. I know that. But I love to see entrepreneurs really excelling. I love to see them thriving. And social media has actually provided those with an entrepreneurial gifting opportunities to thrive. And even people like yourself, of course. You own a business, you are an entrepreneur. And you're the one who started this, not me. I'm along for the ride.
but you are an incredible support, and I could not imagine doing this without you,
But you
Dr.
need
Rod.
both, you see. You need both.
Yes,
You
exactly.
need both.
Yeah,
And that's another thing for leaders, I think, to come to understand that being an entrepreneur is not the same thing as being a manager, for example.
yes,
And so, in terms of what we're doing, the entrepreneurial emphasis comes from your end. But I come along and contribute what I can, primarily from, I guess, an academic and a pastoral position.
yeah,
But I love what I'm seeing. I don't think I could do it because that's not my area of gifting, and I don't believe that's what God has called me to do. But I just love I love to watch it. I love to see the innovations, and you know, I think these entrepreneurs have proven you don't need a very expensive studio setup in order to succeed, and I think that
yes,
gives great hope to many people.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
love it. I think it's fantastic. And I
Yeah.
just say good on you and more power to you.
So I think I know I'm going to answer my own question, but I'm going to pose it because I think it's worthwhile discussing. Obviously, there's a lot of stories of people like Patrick David that builds something successful and then steps into something like media, etc. And there's more and more of it, obviously, because social media is that. Like, I mean, you look at all the big voices, I suppose, in social media when it comes to kind of, let's say, media, etc. A lot of them have had successful businesses or successful in other arenas, and then use that influence to then launch out and become almost a media agency online. Now, you've obviously got a lot of experience in media. You having launched a radio station many years ago, a local radio station, so you understand all of that. Is it a coincidence that there's all these business people or people that are successful in other arenas now stepping across to media? Like, is that a requirement that we need to build up success somewhere else before we can step into an influence place, or is it just different callings?
Look, it's probably a combination. One of the things I observe is that in this new media area, you're really seeing people from both a background in journalism and in the legacy media. People like Megyn Kelly, for example, and now
Yes.
Tucker Carlson, of course.
Yeah.
And they're doing well. Megyn Kelly is, like, if anyone hasn't watched her, you should. She's really brilliant, but she used to be a Fox anchor, right?
Yes.
So her background is in media and journalism, but she got to the point where it wasn't the place for her to be, and now she's developed quite a successful online presence herself. But then you've got others like Bette David, for example, who has a previous history in business, and I think this is where we're seeing the person who's the entrepreneur. It's getting harder and harder for them to find outlets in the more traditional areas, but just because government's getting bigger and big businesses trying to squeeze out small to medium enterprises. And so they're just gravitating to an area which is not as heavily regulated,
Yeah.
where they can actually engage their entrepreneurial flair to turn over a dollar. And I just applaud them for it. But they're not all like that. So people like the Megyn Kellys and others like that have actually come by and large from the legacy media, which eventually they've come to the conclusion this isn't really the place for me to be. and they're offering the public, I think, a real service. And the other thing is they're very honest about what they offer in terms of its opinion.
Yes.
They are one of the things that I think is pretty clear. You know where they stand, so you're not left trying to figure out, well, what's their worldview? Where are they coming from? Why are they reporting on this? And why are they reporting this in a particular way? And I think they're doing us a great service. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's really good. So if you're a leader and you're wanting to forge new ground, don't. Yes, it's important for you to have some success, have some foundation beforehand, something backing you to be able to then step into whatever it is that you want to influence. It helps. Patrick Bet-David is a perfect example. He has built a successful organization. Now he's got a lot of wealth, and now he wants to use that for positive influence. Great, we can do that, but it's not always the case, and you can do the alternative of just following if you are called to influence, that in itself is another calling. So it's not one or the other. Don't feel like you need to be, if you're haven't built a successful business like Patrick Bet-David, you can't build some influence and be a leader, especially in the media, especially when we're talking about social media. The bar is set so low, the barrier of entry is so low that all you need is pretty much just need your phone, and that's it. That's all you need to do to start off with, phone and internet connection, and you can start. Hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership podcast. If you've liked that, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any thoughts of how it challenged or helped your leadership, put a comment below, and we'd be honored if you would consider subscribing for more leadership content. Also, make sure you check out the playlist for more episodes like this.